towards philosophers' talk to our times, towards an ethnography of our poisoning mind. I don't know about you, but for me the weirdest thing, the glittering ball of spyware that we're all totally addicted to, through which we watch the disasters besetting our planet unveil themselves in their full terror. No, it's not that. Or not just that, because that is also part of it. It is the sheer level of pomposity that I am capable of generating, and it might just be me. I might just be pompous. About the importance of doom scrolling. It's not just then that one is caught in an endless possibility of terror with bulletin upon bulletin, at whichever misbegotten news source you've made the mistake to subscribe to, robbing peace of mind. But that somehow one feels oneself to be peculiarly important, a peculiar witness. You see, it used to be the case that news was a public vice. You were always watching the television with your family, your friends. You might watch it by yourself, but that was something like, it was almost a bit like drinking by yourself. It meant you didn't have a family to watch it with, because there was only one. Kids, when I was young, so in the 70s, kids who were allowed to have a TV in their own room were thought by their fellow kids both to be elite, but also a little bit sad. It meant that they were an only, usually, and a little bit lonely. It had the implication that they had the television for company. Oh yes, they could watch whatever they wanted, but at such a cost. And those that had a television in the room would certainly boast about it. But it would get subsumed within a general feeling of onlyness, a certain speciality, with all the positive and negative connotations of the word special. But now, of course, we're all that lonely kid, that lonely, slightly pompous kid who has the TV in their pocket all the time. And one of the issues here, of course, is that the corruptive genius move of Apple to have a device where you could work on it as well as amuse yourself on it created a world where work and onanism became caught up in the same glittering ball, so that you can not just pleasure yourself watching whatever you liked, but also feel that somehow you were changing things, doing things, that filling in your Facebook memories was a job of work. Telling people what you did, what you thought, was somehow an occupation. And so the cult of influencer was born. It's a very strange idea if you think about it. A group of people who have turned just being alive as they are, except not really, into a job. But in a sense, it captures what modern technology, phone technology, I think I'm talking about today, has done to humans. It's turned them both into endless voyeurs and endless exhibitionists, but also into that quiet, lonely kid watching the moving lights, and done it at the same time, so that they are both reclusive in their consumption of the internet, and yet strangely voyeuristic as well. It creates a weird combination between the two. Myself, I'm terribly prone to thinking if I'm doing real research when watching videos. Yeah, right. I'll tell you one thing. The algorithm learns more about me than I ever learn about the world, and then manufactures a world for me to inhabit. As AI pap videos, and those people who you look at and go, I think you're not real. You're pumping out these videos. I don't believe in you. Becomes almost the norm. Certainly on Facebook. Certainly on YouTube. And so you live in an increasingly isolate world. But a world who your very pomposity, your very, well, it's my very feeling that somehow I am doing something, I am learning of a world, as I look at this thing, almost blinds you to. It almost blinds you to its sheer onanistic potential. And it creates a weird world where we have moved very firmly from a Leibnizian to a Deleuzian axis, and I'm using it neither of those in negative, and neither of those as positive. In a Spinozian, in a Deleuzian, in a Leibnizian axis, we were all caught up as monads, reflecting upon the self-same world. That was actually also true for Deleuze. But we were monads then who were necessarily, due to reasons of morality, all reflecting the same world, but we generated it always from inside. There is nothing in Leibniz that says that you and I have to live in the same world. A monad doesn't, because it pulls out all its truth from inside. It finds perceptions within it already. And the world of the interweb, of course, and the world of AI breaks that. We literally no longer live in the same virtual world, as endless content is being manufactured for us and those like us. In a sense, it makes the pomposity actually part of the of the experience. Because you are right. This is the world that is being created for you. You are the answer to this universe. You are Zaphod Beeblebrox, man. And this is your total perspective vortex. A universe that is created for you and you alone. Even as it has access to the news, even as it tends to look upon the world. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying the news is made up. I'm absolutely not. Idiots like Trump really are killing people in Iran. That is genuinely true. But the stories that you get from that will reflect, of course, what you have already searched. So mine will be different from yours. And all the commentary that bubbles around it, much of it is, all of it will reflect what you have already wanted, but also some of it will not ever be related to the actual world, but to a made-up AI world, and it becomes increasingly difficult to tell the two apart. So we live in a world, then, let me give you another philosophical model, because Deleuze didn't quite work there, where we are going back to a pre-Enlightenment model. And here I guess I'm on Gellner. Gellner suggests that in the Enlightenment, one of the things that happened was that you started to be allowed to connect facts, bald facts, any which way you wanted. And that there was no particular story behind them. There was no mythic conception of them. As long as you had a viable way of interlinking ideas, they could all be interlinked one to the other. But before the Enlightenment, the pre-Enlightened mind tended to separate facts off, so that the world of medicine was radically different from the world from, have I used the right example? Yeah, medicine perhaps, from the world of religion. And religious facts and religious truths were surrounded by a set of impregnable mythologies that meant you could only observe them in a way that you had to verify their truth. It wasn't an independently verifiable set of criteria. And certainly the world of AI, which creates a buffer zone between us and the facts of the world, a set of stories that are not really necessarily true, a mythological framework, creates a world then where our access to what actually is happening is framed by a whole set of commentaries, stories, beliefs, which doesn't happen, which we find very difficult to actually question. Even if those beliefs are a foolish question as to doubt everything, they surround, cocoon our access that we would share with everybody else in the world, so that we literally don't experience it in the same way. And again, that feeds back into that pomposity, because it's not just a world, it is also a religion that has been created for you and you alone, created by an algorithm. And you don't have to go very far back into ethnography to see how religions, belief structures, cults are created by just such selective viewpoints on reality, surrounded by an entire body of semi-truths, beliefs, unverifiable statements, well-known facts, which is of course exactly where we are. But our well-known facts are being made up in our pocket by our little buddy. It creates a very weird world and a very weird mind. One of the effects of it, of course, is that as we spend, half our lives as both consumers but also divinities in an electronic world, it can make you rather impatient with the real world, which doesn't work that way. Where you are born in a gender, where you are existing in a world that doesn't work as you would want it to do, where inconvenient facts muscle in. The actual world is messy, difficult, complicated, full of emotions you can't quite describe, full of situations you'll never quite control. And therefore, it becomes a topic of impatience. It was as you wish to go back to your little room and to watch your solitary screen. So we don't just get an impatient mind, we get a pompous impatient mind, whose very pomposity defends its impatience. It creates then a very curious mental powder cake, I suppose, where we no longer live in the same universes, where we feel like we defend our universe against the rest, but that universe is just made up of what appears to be a spider web. So it looks like froth, but is actually iron hard. A trap of well-known facts that are given to us by an algorithm who blindly just constructs for each one of us our own worlds. What can you do about it? Oh, relatively straightforward. Make sure you share your Google accounts. Why, after all, does any of this have to exist? It doesn't. If you start to share all your accounts, I and my partner, who are very old and are used to the world of TV licenses, we share all our accounts one with the other. It buggers up the algorithm. It means that both of us have to share what the other one wants to watch. And at least we share the lies, and as we have 5 different search strategies, it means that we no longer live in our own solitary set of lies, but have a set together. Now, of course, that's even more destructive if one of those issues that we agree on, because it will create an absolute iron set of rules to describe them. But it opens it up a chink, and a chink is all you begin to need to let the real world within. Be careful of the solitary vice, because it poisons your mind and drives you mad in the end by turning you into a god of no universe.